Okay, so now we're going to look at basic trigonometric ratios. And it's really not difficult if you just remember SOHCAHTOA. And remember that acronym, and you will be able to get these every time. It's just a matter of punching buttons into a calculator after that. There's a little bit more to it. But what we have, the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. So always opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse, okay? So with hypotenuse, the sine of an angle is equal to the opposite over the hypotenuse, the ratio of the opposite to the hypotenuse. The cosine of an angle is always equal to the adjacent, the side adjacent over the hypotenuse. The tangent of an angle is equal to the ratio of the opposites of an angle to the adjacent. So what we have here is we're dealing with an opposite, which is the one with the 6, and the hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. So which trigonometric function are we going to use? Opposite over hypotenuse, sine of an angle is equal to that. So sine of an angle is equal to 6, which is opposite, over 10. And now we take the inverse to cancel out the sine. What the sine of the negative 1 is 1 over, here, let me show you over here. It's 1 over sine times sine. That's what we're doing. And these are going to cancel. So theta is left, the angle's left. But what we do on one side, we do on the other. So sine of an angle is equal to the inverse sine of 6 divided by 10 is 0.6. So what I'm going to do now is do I think that with this calculator, there we go, yeah, sine of the negative 1, arc sine, okay, of 0.6 is equal to, that other calculator was in radians, I'm not sure how to use it. So anyway, let's just go back to this one, I found this one online. 0.6 and then hit sine to the negative 1, and we find out that the measure of this angle, I forgot, is 36.9 degrees. So this angle is 36.9. So theta is, and they usually call, theta is a Greek symbol, and they usually call angle measures theta, and whoever they are 36.9. The mathematicians who figured this out, I suppose. Okay, so let's go to another one. And whenever you see right triangles, your go-to is the Pythagorean Theorem, but in this instance we can't because we don't have two angle measures, so we have to use one of these trigonometric ratios. And now we just have to figure out which one we're going to use. So remember, use the arrow trick. That's opposite. Well, we don't care about opposite. We don't have any information about the opposite. We're not even looking for the opposite. We're looking for adjacent. Now, this is not adjacent because this is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. By the way, adjacent means right next to. So this is the adjacent. The one right beside it, that's not the hypotenuse. Okay, the adjacent's never the hypotenuse. So which function are we going to use? Cosine of an angle is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. So let's go ahead and do that. We do know the angle measure though. Cosine of 28 is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, so just like all the cross multiplication that we learned about, we're going to do that again. So now I'm going to do 15 times the cosine of 28 is equal to a times 1, which is a. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to back to my online calculator here, and I'm going to do, I forgot, what was it? Okay, we need the cosine of 28. So I'll do 28 cosine, and I'm just going to do times 15, and I'm going to get 13. So the measure of A is 13. And by the way, that makes sense because neither one of the legs can ever be longer than the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is always the longest side on the triangle. So if this were bigger than 15, it means you did something incorrectly. I'm going to do one more with you because I want to go home and it's getting kind of late. Okay, so now sa, ka, toa. So sa it involves a hypotenuse. Ka involves a hypotenuse. Toa does not. And we have no information about the hypotenuse for this one. However, we do have an opposite, and we do have an adjacent. So which one involves opposite over adjacent? That's the tangent. So we're going to do the tangent of theta is equal to the opposite over adjacent. So I'm going to take the arctangent of both sides. I kind of don't have any space here. Let's see, tangent to the -1. And I'm going to, so those are going to cancel over here. So I'm going to go to my online calculator, and I'm going to do, clear it out, 6 divided by 8 equals, gosh, it's hard to type on this thing. And now I'm going to take the arctangent of it, which is 37 degrees. So I felt like we had that answer earlier. But that means that theta is equal to 37 degrees.